Welcome to Smart, Amazing Conversations with Dr. Nancy, a podcast that takes a look at stories of life and leadership for smart, amazing women and men like you.
The way I can give support to the world right now is by showing up. The most important thing is don't think just that you have to bring anything. Bring yourself, show up.
If you are in a position of leadership and a position of management, bring women along with you.
Supporting women is Dr. Nancy's passion and her purpose, and talking with other women and men who promote women's leadership is one of her favorite things to do.
I've yet to meet a woman who did not know what she really wanted. She was just either afraid to ask the questions or she was afraid of what the answers meant.
Their stories connect us and help us understand that the possibilities are endless if we support each other and lift other women up.
Trust is created by persistent identity. I show up in my conversations. I build relationships. I show up as myself time and time and time again. And trust is built. It's one conversation at a time.
Lisa Lutoff-Perlo is a recognized icon and trailblazer in the global hospitality industry. Lisa serves as Vice Chairman External Affairs for the Royal Caribbean Group, one of the leading cruise companies in the world, with a fleet of 64 ships sailing for 3 award-winning cruise brands: Royal Caribbean International, Celebrity Cruises, and Silver Sea Cruises. In this role, she works to drive the company's strategy forward by working closely with industry organizations and key external entities. From 2014 to 2023, Lisa made history as the first woman to take the helm as president and CEO of Celebrity Cruises, and was one of the few women in the world at the time leading a multi-billion-dollar brand. During her years as president and CEO, Lisa led the company into an era of unprecedented growth. She transformed and redefined today's relaxed luxury cruise experience with the launch of the bold, innovative Edge Series ships in 2018, which was immediately hailed as game-changing for the industry and recognized on Time magazine's annual World's Greatest Places list. Among hundreds of additional awards for innovation and service, the ships drove unprecedented demand for the brand. Her unique skill in managing the business with a guest-first approach, fueled by data-driven insights and digital innovation, led to accelerated financial performance for the brand. She recounts her lessons learned on this journey in her leadership book, Making Waves: A Woman's Rise to the Top Using Smarts, Heart, and Courage, which will be available in February of 2024. Now here's Dr. Nancy and her guest, Lisa Lutoff-Perlo.
I'm going to just begin by welcoming you and thanking you for being here, and it's so good to have you.
Thank you very much. Well, it's so good to be here with you as well. Thank you.
I understand that you have just well, first of all, you're one of the first women to be the CEO of Celebrity Cruises, and you have cruise line. You've definitely made history in doing that. But I understand you've just left that position, and now you have a new position with Royal Caribbean, which is probably just the most amazing company in the world, as a VP of Internal Affairs. So congratulations, and I also understand that a woman's going to be taking your position, which is fantastic.
Yes. So I've been with the company, by the time I retire from the company next April, I will have been with the company for 39 years.
Wow.
And long time, long, wonderful career. I've always worked for a brand, either Royal Caribbean or Celebrity Cruises during that 39 years. Mm-hmm. This is my first corporate role, and it's with the Royal Caribbean Group. It's the Vice Chairman of External Affairs. And I will be doing that for a year as I transition from my CEO role into retirement from the company next April. And a woman, Laura Hodges, Bethke, has taken my place as president and CEO of Celebrity. I've had a long, wonderful career, done a lot of different things, and now I'm going to do one more.
Fantastic. A new chapter. I never use the word retire. I go new chapter, re-image, it's always about all this experience and knowledge and experience that we have. It just can't go to waste. It just means build on the next chapter. So congratulations. And I know that's I said internal. I'm sorry. It's external.
That's okay. Yes, external.
External is really more important in the hospitality and travel than internal. So I like that idea. But your personal story is probably the most important thing that we can talk about today, because when I have these conversations, women sometimes we're not very good about sharing where we've come from and how we've become who we are. And, oftentimes that conversation is the one that really connects us. And we also realize that women are very, very good at comparing themselves to one another, that, she's smarter, she's thinner, she's more intelligent. But I think when we tell our stories to each other, we truly start to bond. And you and I both know when women come together and they bond, there's amazing things that we can do. So how did you get to be this amazing woman and 39 years and now you're at the top of your game and you're going to the next level? But how did you get to be you?
Well, I think the most important thing that when I reflect on how I got to become me, I think I've been a work in progress, as we all are, for the last 39 years. I think the thing that's most important for all of us is that we learn and that we grow and that we get better as human beings and as professionals in what we do. I've had the good fortune of starting at the very bottom in our company in sales. And I was calling door to door on our travel partners in New England, where I'm from. And I steadily advanced within the company. And 30 years later, a long 30 years later, I became the president and CEO of Celebrity. I was the first woman in our company to ever run a brand, first woman in the company in our C-suite, first woman in the company to run operations for Celebrity, first woman in the company to run marine and hotel operations for Royal Caribbean, and the first woman in our company to run our global marine organization. So while my president and CEO position is certainly the highest and most prestigious, I was the first woman to hold many different positions in our company. And I think it's because I left myself open to learning and growing and changing and trying new things. I find that many of us are on linear paths that might not always get us where we want to go. And I took a very long and windy road to where I ended up. And I have to admit, at the beginning, I wasn't very open to that long and windy road, but I found that once I took the first step, the next steps were easier. And it took me to places that I never even dreamed of in my career.
Yeah. Can I ask who were your mentors? Who were your models, though, to even put you on that path? Because, I was lucky. I had my grandmothers who were both in business, and my mother, who was a $1 million saleswoman, real estate. So, I had women on my own path and mentoring me and someone to emulate, because we can't be what we can't see, what we can't hear, what we can't read about. So who in your life helped you to even say, I can be on this path, I can do this?
I think a few different people. My mom is a very independent woman who traveled her own path and did what she wanted to do and was in business and always wanted to be successful and had that ambition and drive in her, and she never thought that because she was a woman, she couldn't do something. And I think in many ways, I probably took that myself and used that as something. I never thought that there, as a woman, that it was a barrier to anything that I wanted to do. But the reality is, in business, in my company, is that every single person who advocated for me, sponsored me, supported me, promoted me, were men that I had the good fortune of working for throughout my career. Very progressive men who were never looked at my gender as a barrier to the types of opportunities that I was given. I will say that the colleagues that I encountered along my way weren't always as welcoming to a woman, because I went into so many roles that women had never had before, and they were made up of so many men. It's very, very often in our business, and I don't know that our business is much unlike any other business or corporation out there, but you're always the only woman in the room, or maybe one of two. So when I was put into positions by men who really believed I had the leadership and cultural capabilities that they were looking for in these roles, even though I didn't have the subject matter expertise, I think the people that I worked alongside who did have the subject matter expertise were somewhat skeptical and in some cases unwelcoming. But But I was always given opportunity by the great men I've worked with in my career.
Yeah. Well, my book is called In This Together, and it's interesting. I was actually in Oxford, and I was talking about the book, and had received a reward at this particular meeting. And so I got up and I started talking about the book and talking about In This Together. And, and I was talking about women's leadership, and I was talking about the importance of women having a seat at the table. And I said, then I started, then I started talking about something key that I really, from now on, I mean, after that day, just completely was the best thing ever happened. I started talking about the importance of men and women working together. And I said, oftentimes, we just need to ask for what we want. And men also ask us, if we start working together and start asking questions, anything is possible. But I kept saying, we men and women have to work together if we want to get to the finish line and be successful. But it was so wonderful after that speech. Those men came up to me and they said, "Oh, thank you so much." You can't imagine what it's like to always feel that you're going to be denigrated or male bashing or whatever. I said, no, that's not the point. The point is when we begin to understand that our mentors can be male or female, that there's just all kinds of possibilities. But and the men would say, what you do is sometimes just ask for what you want. Tell us how we can help. And the point is that sometimes we walk into any situation, business, industry, or whatever, and have these set ideas based on our own backgrounds, based on our own cultural backgrounds or whatever. And then we assume, but when we start asking these key questions, these amazing things happen. And this is no doubt what has happened for you. I also have been the only woman in the room, and have found it very not uncomfortable at all. But again, it's good every time that we get a seat at the table and we start really working together. We know that all the companies in the United States, for sure, and globally as well, who have top women's leaders in the corporate offices and the C-suites are successful. And I guess this pie is big enough for all of us. There's enough slices of the pie. And, I'll be honest with you, Lisa, one of the things that has been one of my nemesis is women really bashing one another. And this is where the problem has been when I started Women Connect for Good, was women supporting other women. And this was key, and it still is. Lisa, Sheila and I talk about this all the time. I think Black women really get it. White women still compete in such a way that if we started really supporting each other, anything is possible. So I don't know what your experience has been with other women, but of course, you're no doubt lifting as you rise. With women as you rise, you're bringing other women on board as well. It looks like your new CEO of Celebrity, another woman taking your position. So, I mean, those are just my thoughts, but I'd really like to know your thoughts as well.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. You mentioned so many things that I think are so critical. We'll start with We're in it together. And I think that's just a perfect title because it's so true. Whether it's a group of women in it together or men and women in it together, we all need each other to lift each other up. So I happen to work in a company that's very supportive, where women are very supportive of other women. I remember when I was appointed to my role, women across the entire enterprise were so happy and cheering for me to be successful because it took so long. And I remember thinking when I was the first, I remember thinking, don't screw this up because you don't want to be the last, and so there is a big responsibility. I was actually at an event over the weekend in London, and another woman CEO of one of our brands, Barbara from Silver Seas, she was asked, was it difficult going into the role as a woman? And she said, no, because Lisa paved the way for us. And it was just very easy and natural to just come into that situation. And that, I gave her a big hug afterwards because that's what I want to do. And that's what I have done. And the reality is that we at Celebrity, our operations on board are very male dominated, not even more than the corporate environment and our corporate headquarters. Women in mariner positions are few and far between. Of all the mariners in the world, 2% are women. When I took on celebrity, 3% of our nautical team were women, and now 33% are women. And I'm in it with men because the men that work for me that run Marine or did work for me, they're the ones that brought all these women in. They're the ones that believed in gender equality on our bridges as much as I did. They're the ones that went out to the maritime academies or to all of these recruiting firms and found qualified women to take these roles so that we could have more gender balance on the bridge. I hired Captain Kate, the first and still only American woman as captain of a mega cruise ship, and she's a rock star. And she's the largest. She has the largest social media following of any mariner in the world, and she has done so much for women in maritime. So it's something that feeds off itself. It's an energy, and it is a movement, and it is an initiative that everybody rallies around to make a difference and make things better. And so I do know that in some areas, and I've experienced it myself, where there are women who want to hurt you or tear you down or not want you to succeed. Yeah. Thankfully, I've overcome those situations. But I do think I've had the good fortune of not having that situation over the last at least 10 or 15 years in our company.
Fantastic. So again, this is but you're bringing women along, and men are bringing women along, and women are bringing men along, and that's the way it works. I mean, it's just, I mean, we would have no problems if everybody worked together. We'd have no poverty. We'd have everybody be educated. Everybody have health care. These simple things. Well, so what are some of your, I mean, you talk about your key lessons, or what are some of the things that you offer? Because again, we're going to talk about your book, but no doubt being in a leadership role and really being a mentor to so many men and women, there are things that you've helped people come along into strong leadership positions that are successful, that keep them and keep growing the company.
Well, one of the things that I realized early on as I was taking on roles of more and more responsibility and more opportunity to have a large sphere of influence, one of the things for me that has been the most rewarding is helping people in their own careers, just like people helped me in mine. And I realized that, I know we'll talk about my book in a little while. I tried to capture the things throughout my 38-year career that I either developed as something that was important to me, or probably had in an innate way that came out more and more over time as I took on different roles, as I matured, as I gained more experience. But I think that I learned that you can't do anything by yourself. And I think a lot of leaders want to be the smartest person in the room, or think they're the smartest person in the room, or act like they're the smartest person in the room. And I never have. And I feel like hiring people that are smarter than me is a really smart thing to do. And also to pay it forward, to give people opportunity that are so deserving and that might otherwise have gone unnoticed. And when I think about the careers I've impacted for both men and women, when I see all the families that they have now, just because of different opportunities they've had, that I've been responsible for giving them, and they thank me for that, that is quite rewarding for me, probably the most rewarding thing of anything that I've done in my career. And I've done a lot and accomplished a lot, but it's all about the people and what you can do for other people. That is the thing for me that is brings me the greatest joy.
I say that all the time. The I, me, mine people don't get it. It's we and us, and no, nobody gets anywhere alone. Nobody. And it's just the way it is. There's an African statement that it's anonymous, but it says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go all together. And it's truly so important for all of us to understand that, especially women. And I think especially when it comes to leadership, this is over my experience in doing training and leadership training, is that women sometimes do believe they have to be all things to all people, and they have to do everything extremely well. But when they finally realize they can ask for help, and you know, the networking, you know, I mean, when you give help, then you get help, and it's everything that I've ever done in my life threefold has come back to me. You know, anything that I've given out there has come back to me, and that's been kind of my life lesson, is that the more I give, the more it comes back to me. So I'm sure for you that's happened time and time again as well. Well, let's talk about the book, because I think the book probably says just about everything about your career, and probably no doubt about your personal life. And again, your work. This is what I said the other day in a video. Your passion is your work, and your work is your passion. And when people begin to understand that, every day, just, you know, I mean, when you look down and you started the day and you look down and it's the end of the day, you know that you're doing what you truly love to do, you know. But if the minutes just go by one at a time, you know you're not doing what you want to do. So I think that's it, when help people find out what their passion is. So your passion is your work, and your work is your passion. So talk about this book, Making Waves, A Woman's Rise to the Top Using Smarts, Heart, and Courage. I love that. I love your title.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's appropriate for the things that I've done in my career that a lot of people said I couldn't do, that celebrity couldn't accomplish. And, you know, we made some waves, and that was a lot of fun. And yes, the book does cover a lot of that. But I think, you know, I always say that I was a reluctant book writer. I never thought I would write a book, just because I never think I have anything people want to hear. But throughout my career, especially over the last probably 5 or 10 years, women, a lot of women actually, and young women. I do a lot of speaking to young women. I love being around young women. I love being around college students. I love to talk to people with so much optimism and hope, and so much of their life in front of them. It excites me and energizes me. And as I tell my story and I talk about the lessons, and I talk about the fact that it wasn't easy, but nothing worthwhile ever is, and that you have to stick to it, that everybody tells me, you need to write a book, you need to write a book. So writing this book was another way I've tried to pay it forward and talk about the lessons that I learned, that I hope, you know, I do believe that anybody that will read this book, I hope they'll get something out of it, regardless of their role, whether they're a leader or not. They lead their family, they lead their business, they lead their department, they lead themselves, just in how they conduct themselves. And it's 10 chapters, and the 10 chapters deal with different things that I've encountered or done in my career, and what I've learned from those, and how it has made me better, smarter, stronger. And, you know, one of the things that you said about putting things out there, that's one of the things that I talk about in my book. I call it the boomerang theory. And that the more, whatever you put out there in the universe is going to come back. So you want it to be good, because it'll come back good and it'll come back bad. It's your choice.
Yeah. Karma's a bitch.
Karma's a bitch for sure. And
it's a bitch. Everybody needs to understand that. It will come back. Whether you
will come back. And, you know, I look at that, Dr. Nancy, I look at that as how I've been able to be successful too, because people need to be personally invested in your success. You can't be the only one that cares about your success, because if you are, you won't be successful. And the only way you're going to get other people to care about your success is if you prove that you care about theirs. It's the self-fulfilling prophecy. And I've always believed that, because of what I put out there in the universe and paying it forward and being invested in people's personal happiness and their professional happiness, they're invested in mine. It's like we have 20,000 crew all over the world. If they don't know I genuinely care about them, sure, they'll show up and do their job, but they won't care as much. And caring is the thing that separates us as human beings, as professionals. Everybody's going to do their job, but how you do it is really important. And I talk about failure. I talk about showing vulnerability. I find women especially don't want to show vulnerability because they're afraid of that. And they look at it as a weakness, and I look at it as a strength. And in showing, and I also say that I learned that over time. As a younger woman in my career, I didn't want to show any vulnerability. I didn't want anyone to think I didn't know everything. And then as I took on different roles where I wasn't a subject matter expert or found myself in different situations, I realized you need to ask for help, and you need to tell people you don't have the answers, and you need their help. And so the book is, you know, many different things like that. And then of course my first chapter is the best of times and the worst of times, and that's the pandemic. And then my last chapter is full steam ahead. So it opens probably during the worst time in our industry. It's not chronological. I talk about different times in my career and all the lessons I learned, but the last chapter is full steam ahead, and how you can come out of even the worst of situations if you have the best intentions and the best people around you.
Yeah. Well, you're singing to the choir here. I'm just, I've been doing this a long time also, but it's really about relationships. I think I think COVID, the one thing that came out of COVID for me was the importance of relationships. And I think that also has come about in business and in industry and any venue, is that people are deciding where they want to be, who they want to be with, and what they want to do. And I think that in itself has been the most positive thing for me. I can't tell you the number of changes I've made since COVID. And the people that were here are not, many of those people are no longer here. My tribe is the people who truly care, and they care about each other, and they work together, and it's all about relationships. And I think that's what I saw on your ship, was that it really was a very nice group of people that truly were working together. There was ownership. They felt good about what they were doing, and they made the people on the ship feel that way as well. So I want to congratulate you on that. The book, as soon as it comes out, I want a copy, and then we're going to talk again. But one of the things I would love for you to become a part of is the Lift Women Up campaign. It's really Lift People Up campaign. Love to get that to you, because the more we get in that campaign, it's all the weeks, every week there's something that women can do and men can do to lift each other up. It could be as simple as making a phone call to somebody and saying, how are you today? I've been thinking about you, how are you doing? Getting a personal note. Like I said, going back to the whole issue of relationships. When I get a card, I don't know about you, when I get a personal card in the mail, it's like, it's a treasure. It's a treasure. We've got to get back to the point where people really truly care. And if we can do that every week out of the entire year, we just have our new list come out, and then we have women talking about things that they're doing. So we've got this thing going on that's, and it really does boil down. Somebody cares about me. Someone cares about what I have to say, what I have to think about, and how I can make a change. And it comes down to, let's make this world a better place. And you can do that. I mean, you're doing that every day with the number of people that you're employing, with your cruise lines and your 64 ships. But again, the people working there, but the people coming on those ships. I mean, you're building memories. You're building relationships, but you're building memories. So I know it's got to be just an exciting thing in your life to see where you've come from and where you're going. So what's next? What's next before we end this conversation? What's next?
Okay, well, yeah, I talk about my story as well in my book, that I'm just a girl from the oldest seaport in the country, Gloucester, Massachusetts, little town of 25,000 people. And I look back on this life I've had and this career I've had, and it's pretty spectacular. And now I'm getting ready for my next adventure. And when I said retire, it was only from the company. My last section of my book is called The Next Chapter. And I'm in this role for the next year, and I'm excited about the different things I'll be able to do with and for the company, especially around the things I'm passionate about, like diversity, equity, and inclusion, sustainability, local governments all over the country that, our company needs better representation in communicating with and talking to about the industry and the future of the industry. So those are the things that I'll be focused on for the next, 11 months or so. And during this time, I'm also thinking about what my next chapter and my next adventure will be. And I'm leaving myself open to the universe to see what it has in store for me.
Well, it sounds fantastic. And I also read through the Royal Caribbean information, climate and sustainability. And this is something, again, I have a home in Montecito, so those cruise ships come in and, everybody has to be very conscious of the ocean and what we're putting into it. It's got to be so very, very important. So, my daughter's into women and climate change. So we're doing a lot with that. So whatever you can do to help, we need to keep.
That's right. That's right. My niece is a very big environmentalist as well. And she very much cares about the planet and the oceans. And, this is why, again, young people fill me full of hope and optimism because they care about the right things. And so some days when you are not so hopeful, when you see and hear what's going on, then you realize that there are so many good people out there who do know and care and want to do the right thing. And so I continue to have great hope.
Well, hope is a 4-letter word and love is a 4-letter word. And some of those other words are 4-letter, but let's keep the good ones. Yeah. And you know what also a 4-letter word is? Life.
Life.
Yeah. And that's what I tell people, every day is about life, but
that's right.
It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Same here.
Like I said, when the book comes out, please let us know. And I'd love to talk about that some more and then get you involved in the Lift Women and Men campaign and continue this relationship. And, we're all in it together.
Yes, we are. We sure are, Dr. Nancy.
Good luck with your new position. And I wish you the best. And it's been delightful. Have
Same here. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
If you enjoy these smart, amazing conversations, please subscribe, rate, and review them on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And read and enjoy more amazing stories in my books, In This Together, How Successful Women Support Each Other in Work and Life, and Leading Women, 20 influential women share their secrets to leadership, business, and life. Thank you for listening.